Hi, Kate. I'm so excited that you're here. Thanks for agreeing to chat with me today.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk with you. How are you, Mandy?
I'm feeling great. It's always a little bit bittersweet when I complete a container working with a client. And so Kate and I have been working together for the past few months in my program called Modern Magic. And the thing that distinguishes Modern Magic from just a regular healing series or from Illumin is that in Modern Magic, we just do one live session a month, and the rest of the time we stay connected via email and via Voxer, which is a kind of voice text coaching platform. And that's how we provide that sort of intermediary feedback and support and follow up and accountability. So it's a different type of structure, it's more low touch. And I was excited when Kate expressed interest in it because I know that she is a very kind of self-starting go-getter type of person.
Thank
So
you.
I'm excited to see what type of feedback you have in terms of what you liked about Modern Magic and the setup of this container and how it worked for you, and the type of person that you think it would work for. But I want you to introduce yourself a little bit first. So just let us know about what you do, why you chose to work with me through Modern Magic, and a little bit about like where you were at before you started this work.
Okay, that's a lot of things. All
Yeah.
right, so thank you for inviting me to share all of this. So my name's Kate McCauley. I am coming from an education space. I spent 20 years as an educator. I am now a mindset specialist and performance specialist where I get to work with athletes and coaches, teachers, students, and their parents, and people in the business space. I help them to feel empowered so they can reach their goals through mindset tools. We work together in workshops, in big speaking engagements. Sometimes it's small group coaching or one-to-one coaching. I have courses that they go through. I also get to love them through my podcast. A lot of different ways I get to work with people. And the reason why I came to work with you in Modern Magic is I have experienced some things with you before, and I just really felt that I needed something to help me because I was stepping into the most busiest time in my business. So I run this business now. I'm no longer in that education world. I'm all about the mindset specialist work. And I knew I needed to pour back into myself because I was stepping into the busiest next couple months when we started working together in Modern Magic. And I also felt I wanted to leverage the growth I was seeing, but I didn't feel as confident as I wanted to, but I wasn't exactly sure what was holding me back. And I will admit, in the beginning, I wasn't 100% sure what I was getting into. I had done some breath work with you before, had wonderful experiences, and I wanted to step out of my comfort zone. I was saying to myself, I'm going to do something to make sure I step out of my comfort zone. You had mentioned that it was lower touch, and for me, that was perfect because I am so busy doing all of those things. Quite honestly, I cannot get into a program where I have to be jumping on and going to a call or meeting with a coach every week. Some people do it every day, and I love some of those things for different phases of my life, but where I am now, it's just not doable. So the Voxer communication was great because I could send that whenever I something popped into my brain. I think that when I was working with you, I didn't even realize that I had blocks that needed to be uncovered. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about how we did that within the work. And I think that leaning in did meet those goals of getting uncomfortable for me. And as you said, I really do commit when I do things, but I liked the low touch, and although it was low touch, I did feel that you were there to support me whenever I needed it through that Voxer communication and the convenience of booking once a month for,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you'd mentioned that before, and I thought that that was really interesting that even though we weren't meeting very frequently, you felt that energetic connection, like the open door,
right.
essentially, where it was like,
Mhm.
okay, if I need this support, all I have to do is say something,
Right.
and it's right there.
Yeah, I truly did feel that. And I felt that when we did meet for the hour session, that when you sent the follow-up and shared, the video when we were working together, if I did have a question that came up, the Voxer was very convenient for me. In addition to the work I do, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. I'm
Yeah.
busy and I'm running around. So just to be able to send a message and get back to you and say, this came up when I was, working with the tapping or the breath work, doing it on my own. That part was really convenient for me. Whereas in other programs, I have felt like I need to wait till the next session to say something, and I didn't want to cross boundaries, if that's the right way to say it, and be
Mhm.
respectful, as I do work this way too, and I know how that can be sometimes. So the Voxer piece was great because you had said to me at the beginning, you can send it whenever. You had boundaries set for yourself. So I could send it, when I was running to pick up my kids. And then you were great getting back, within, I knew what the boundaries were, but it was just really convenient for me.
I love that so much.
Hmm.
So I want to circle back to something that you said a couple minutes ago. You said that you knew you needed to make yourself uncomfortable.
Hmm.
So I want to pull on that thread a little bit. How did you know that you needed to make yourself uncomfortable? And what was it about this work with me that felt a little stretchy for you?
Well, the work I do within mindset, I know that you see growth when you can step out of your comfort zone. And I'm a big advocate of you need to walk the walk. I can't be teaching people to do this mindset work if I am not willing to put in the work myself. I do think that is very important. So that's why I initially thought I need to be able to get uncomfortable every day. I also was stepping into, as I mentioned, a growth period within my business where I was asking people to pay me a lot of money and I was getting it easily. And I knew I can get more. I deserve more. As I mentioned, I was coming from 20 years as an educator. And when I was working with you, although I knew it, you didn't necessarily give me the answers or tell me exactly what to do, but you guided me and taught me the tools and reminded me to see my strengths within that, stepping out of my comfort zone and saying those things because sometimes I couldn't see it myself. So that is sometimes an area where I have to be pushed and stretched a little bit because I am so busy and moving so quick, and I just assume other people do this too sometimes because I've been doing this education work for 20 years. I'm still educating just in a different way. I forget sometimes how much value I bring to the table, and you helped me really see it myself through your guidance. You weren't necessarily saying, this is who you are. You are helping me uncover that with these tools. And I would say the biggest piece of resistance for me was around trust. And I physically was tripping over it when we were creating intentions. And again, within my own words, I could not say that when I needed to have someone come and be a part of my team. Because if I
Yeah.
wanted to grow my business, I had to trust someone else. And again, I didn't even know that I was carrying that emotional baggage and anger from that teaching career. And working with you really did help me unblock things that I didn't even know were there.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm hearing from you then is I think I see this quite a lot where when we start doing something different and new that we haven't done before, it can be really hard. Like we can see the bigger picture vision, like the long-term vision. Oh, I see myself on these kind of stages with these kind of contracts and these kind of people, but it can be hard to see the process.
Hmm.
Right? Okay, so what are the small steps that I'm going to need to take to get to this bigger thing? And each one of those steps can be stretchy. And so what I'm hearing from you is like you had an idea of where you were going and you were feeling stretched with the process and having a hard time visualizing what the process needed to look like, what those
Hmm.
steps would actually be. And they were not feeling as comfortable as you had hoped that they would feel.
Yeah, Yeah, 100%. And,
Yeah.
there was a couple times I think I even expressed this to you that I'm from Philly. I keep it real. And I was thinking, I don't think so. I don't think that I need to forgive people who treated me terribly in my teaching career.
Yeah.
And when I started to lean in and get uncomfortable and do the work through the tapping, especially, I realized that maybe there is something here. And I started to feel things shift in
Yeah.
quite a big way. Within the first month is when really I was able to not only find a place where I could possibly hire someone as an assistant, but I interviewed 17 women, hired someone, and honestly, I couldn't even say part of my intention, which was to build a team I trust. And not being able to say that and then being able to shift and not only say the intention and start to feel it in my body and become it, to interview, to one, put the job posting out there and then interview women, decide who is best for me, and feel and find the person who is aligned and now be collaborating. And you don't even know this, but we just closed a big thing this morning.
Ah,
And yeah, we were talking
congratulations.
last week and finishing our program. And honestly, as I was closing that and telling her to check off things in our board that we have together, which she's so organized, I didn't even know I needed her. And honestly, within the tapping and the breath work, that helped me see that this is what I need to
Yeah.
those baby steps really to get to that next level. And even within today's conversation, she's saying things back to me saying, and this is what we can do next. And honestly, I wouldn't even be ready to do that, but I know I need to.
Right.
So there's so many things that, as you just mentioned, the steps, I knew the steps needed to be there. I just didn't know how to necessarily take them
Yeah.
and be comfortable.
So just to kind of pull everything together for everyone. So one of your goals was around hiring a team member in order to help you expand
Hmm.
your business. And
Right.
like you mentioned, you were having some trouble trusting that you could bring a person in and hand them the keys essentially
Right.
and hand over a lot of the things that you had spent so much time working on.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we discovered in our sessions was that there was still some anger, some resentment, some frustration from some things that happened in your past career. And that was something that you were having a hard time seeing the equivalency, right? You were just kind of like,
Mhm.
I don't get why I have to work on this in order to
Right.
get here over here, right? Like, I just want to leave this in the past.
I was almost holding that as a badge of honor of look how tough I am. I told this
Right.
guy, and really it was not that at all. It was still anger and resentment, and my heart was broken in many ways. And it's still something that I will have to continuously work on. I don't want to say it's completely healed, but I am at a completely different place after these 3 months that I would not even have considered to go if I wasn't doing your program.
Well, I love that you said that. And I think that you're pointing to something really important that a lot of people don't understand completely, which is that like anger can be fuel for us, right? That anger, that kind of prove it energy, like I'm gonna
Mhm.
show them, like
Right,
that can be fuel for us, but it's not fuel that's coming from love.
right.
And fuel that's not coming from love will run dry. That well will burn out at some point and you will hit a wall. And so, what we needed to do was to take that situation and sort of transform it into a fuel that's coming from love. So that instead of moving, because that sort of anger or frustration based energy is rooted in fear.
Mhm,
And fear is always going to burn out at some point or burn you out at some point. So we had to do a little bit of work to transform that motivation into a loving motivation and really to transform this energy into, we weren't validating that person or saying that what that person did was right, but we were helping relieve the weight of that experience from you so that
mhm,
you weren't carrying that baggage and those beliefs into this new process. We needed to make space for what you wanted to come in. Like the distrust that you felt with that person was affecting the way that you went about creating your business. So we just had to make that equivalency and to dig in a little bit there and do that.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. And
yeah.
it was heavy, but I didn't even realize I was carrying it.
Hmm.
So it feels really good to acknowledge it and
Hmm.
have a tool to manage it because it will creep in again. And when it does, now I have tools that I can use to acknowledge it. And when I was learning some of those things, especially the tapping, at first I was hesitant to think, will this work?
Hmm.
Because I wasn't exactly sure about saying, acknowledging the fear really, instead of flipping it to think, well, how can I turn this into something that I can make positive for me? Which did come later, but it's hard to acknowledge that fear.
It is.
So, but now I know it will creep in because that's what happens in our brains. But now I have a tool instead of going back to that self-doubt and just standing still. Now I know that I can navigate through because I have tools to do that.
Yeah, I love that. And that's like a big part of this program is equipping you with the things that you need so that you can be your own energy worker. I don't want people to feel like they have to come to me and I fix it for them, right? But that you're in control of this. Like you have your tools. You are able to shift your energy and to move things around. So, in that spirit, I want to talk a little bit more like you've pointed to some of the results that you've experienced. So you mentioned you did end up hiring a new team member and it's going very well and you're
Yep.
closing deals. And, I want to highlight too, one of the things we've been dancing around a little bit here is that the tagline of Modern Magic of this container really points to the idea that we're helping you become the person that can hold this
Mm.
vision that you're having. So I want to hear more about the results, the success that you're seeing in your business, and also like what is changing in you so that you're feeling more like that BDE. So that
Right.
you're
Yeah.
able to really hold all of this stuff coming in.
Yeah. So I think that it's important too to acknowledge, although I did do this for my business, in many ways, this was also a personal growth journey because if I'm not taking care of me, I cannot love anyone else. And you had mentioned it has to come from a place of love. The work I do is very heart-centered, and if I don't feel aligned with it, it doesn't feel good. I say no to things often because I know that I won't be able to give it 120%, which I typically do.
Yeah.
So I think that I have seen growth in that when I was signing up for Modern Magic, I was thinking to myself, have I eaten lunch today? Have I, done this? And I was just go, go, go. And I'm still very busy. It's not like I'm not busy, but I am taking time intentionally for myself, especially on the days when it's inconvenient. That was one of my intentions, the last
Yeah.
part that was added on because it is very easy for me as a mom to three kids who are very busy and they are my first priority to put their things first and then come back and take care of everything for the business too and make sure that everyone is taken care of and I will be last and to skip myself, but I don't show up as the best version of me when I do that for anyone, for my personal life, my kids, my husband, and my business. So I think going through the program intentionally, I did things to make sure that I was taking care of me and that had a ripple effect into my business. So even this morning when one of the clients who I'm booking a new speaking engagement for was messaging me, she actually was in an event with me that I spoke at 7 a.m. in the morning. The work that she does starts at 6 a.m. in the morning and she is done by 2 p.m. So her day is different than mine. So it makes sense that she's sending me messages at 7 a.m. And I wrote back, but then I said, I will get back to you as soon as I am done dropping off my kids at school. Old me before modern magic would have been doing all of these things and not setting a boundary there.
Hmm.
So I think little things like that changes my whole day with my kids, with my business. And she apologized. And I said, there's no need for an apology. I just need to get these things done. I don't want you to think I'm neglecting you. I love you. I said I love you, but I need to do this, And that
Mm.
actually went a long way with her. And
Yeah.
it solved my problem too, that I was in my head thinking, I don't want this person to think I'm not doing enough. So I think that was a big shift too.
What I love about this is that, like you mentioned, you are a very heart-centered person,
Mhm.
and that can sometimes that can sometimes mean that you're not turning that back on yourself in a lot
Mhm.
of ways.
Sure.
And the more that you love yourself in this process, the more spaciousness that you have to love other people. It's just coming from overflow. So it's like it generates more. It's very regenerative to pour that love back into yourself. And it's very grounding. I think your energy has grounded, all of that heart-centeredness has sort of landed in your body, is what I've seen over the course of the last few
I would
months.
agree.
And it regenerates easily.
And I think that it sends that vibration out and it just gives that message. My kids see it. They aren't necessarily doing the same things as me as closing business deals,
Yeah.
but they're having conversations with their friends and different things where it can be sticky and the words aren't the same, but I really am showing them how to set a healthy boundary, how to take care of yourself. I'm going to the gym. I'm not going to miss your track meet. I'm doing this and then I get these other things done. And if I have to do it tomorrow, it's okay. So they
Mhm.
they are seeing that, which I think is valuable too in many
Absolutely.
ways. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Well, I want to respect your time.
Mhm.
I know we allotted a certain amount of time for this. So, just as my last question, I'm curious, like, who do you think that Modern Magic specifically, that this type of program would be best for? Like, who do you think would get the most out of it?
I think people who are pouring into others
Hmm.
definitely need to make sure, as we were just talking about, that you take care of yourself. If you are somebody who is in a leadership role and you're busy and you don't have the time to be jumping in, there's a lot of programs where people present it as we're getting on calls every week and doing this, which is great in certain phases of your business or your life. I've been in those and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. But if you are a person like me right now who's thinking, I don't want that. This is perfect because of the Voxer and the monthly program. When we were jumping in for those sessions, it literally was perfect for me and very convenient. So, someone who feels busy but needs to level up, if you're carrying anything heavy and you don't even exactly know maybe what
Mhm.
is holding you back, I can't recommend Mandy and this program enough.
Aw, thanks, Kate. Yeah, and like I think you can trust yourself, right? Like you know if what you need is to do really deep healing work and that you're going to need some more support around it.
Sure.
But you also know if what you need is some accountability, maybe a kick in the butt, somebody to
Mhm.
give you a different perspective, a little clarity, help illuminate the next step, all of those sorts of things. And then this container would be more appropriate for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just love celebrating you.
Thank you.
I think your growth has been so incredible. I just love how coachable you've been, where, you've taken every conversation that we've had and you've really integrated it into your life and, really practiced all the practices and kept an open mind and tried things, even if you were unsure how they would fit in or whether or not they were relevant. You did it. You showed up.
Well,
And
thank you.
that's
I
like, I think
appreciate
the
you making
biggest
the
step.
space. You
Yeah.
really do hold a space to make that easy to do. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, thank you, Kate.
Yeah.
And hopefully this isn't the last. I'm sure I'll see you.
Oh, you will.
Sure, I'll see you
You're
in the
stuck with
future.
me.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I'll be stalking you down if
Yeah,
not.
you're stuck with me. So
All right. Well, thank you for sharing your experience here. It's been so wonderful. And I'm gonna add your contact information here below if that's okay, if people want to
sure.
reach out with any questions.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem at
Right.
all.
And I'll definitely leave Kate's website as well so you can check out her incredible work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.